Welcome to Paranormal Crossings Into the Light. I'm your host, Aaron Collins.
I'm James Mitchell.
We are missing our brother from another mother again.
What is this? 2 weeks in a row, man.
You know, I think it was not really that he had a eye accident at work. I think it was he just wanted to hang out with his wife today.
He didn't want to hang with us.
He didn't want to hang out. Well, can you blame him? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, what, an hour and a half with us, or hour and a half, or all day with his wife, right?
Right.
So we're thinking of him. I didn't bring his hat, but DBK, we're thinking of you.
See, I don't have a hat, so
I
got to talk to him about that.
I'm the elite.
Yeah, you are.
No, he's getting his glasses fixed, and so we are sending good vibes and well wishes and praying for you, brother. And so, yeah, we know what it's like, us wearing glasses and being older than him, right?
Right.
So I can't say old, but just had this conversation this morning with a friend of mine. We met for coffee at a terrible hour, which is, for me, 7 a.m. That's just on a Saturday. You've known me for years. Do I get up that early, 6 in the morning, to go do anything?
I'm lucky to get a hold of you at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's my nap time, bro.
You're right.
6 o'clock is my sleep. You know, when he asked me if I could meet with it, because dude works 7 days a week. I mean, literally. And on Saturdays, he does what you used to do with Amazon. But he does that one day because he's actually making really good money on this one day. But anyways, but he said, can we meet? He's a friend that I know through my church. So I said, sure, let's meet. You know, he said Saturday. And I said, what time? He said 7. I said, PM? Sweet. He goes, no, AM. I go, what? I go,
can you please repeat that again?
Yeah, literally. I looked at my phone and I'm like, I literally texted, let me check with my sleep schedule, is what I said. Literally. I'm like, I don't get up at all. I mean, the only time I get up at 6, I don't even set my alarm for 6 a.m. But if I get up at 6, it's to go to the bathroom. When you're over 50, for those of you that are over 50, you do this all night long. And 6 is like, yeah, you got to run. So anyways, had a great time.
7 o'clock, I think I was just getting out of bed.
But you work for a living. I don't work anymore because I'm disabled. I'm old. Actually, you're older than me. I got to quit saying that. By what, 7 months? 7 months. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So enough about our ailments and being old, as Andrew's over there, 18, 19 years old.
He's probably saying thank you.
Right. And then we had Justin in here last week. He was a hoot, man.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, somebody our age, kind of.
Right.
Well, he's younger than we are, but still. Andrew, we missed you. No offense, Justin, you were awesome, dude, but we also love Andrew too. He's a great dude, so it's nice having you back. So anyway, but here on Paranormal Crossings Into the Light, you and I have been through a lot together over the years. And one of the things that we do share, talking about age, is growing up partially in the 70s, but mainly in the 80s. But
80s were great.
You know, on the way here, I was thinking, and actually my sister came over. My sister.
You were thinking? That's a
I
problem.
do that sometimes. My wife says I need to chill out, cool down a little bit on the thinking process.
Okay.
Sometimes it gets me in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking 1978. Why that date? I don't know. But I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And you grew up where?
Oh, here, Portland. My whole life.
I'm terribly sorry. Anyway.
I know, right?
My condolences. No, I'm just kidding.
Right now, I'm probably thinking that.
But you know what? Back in the day, like I moved here in 1986 with my family. And it was totally different. So I can't even imagine how cool it was back in 1978 in Portland. I mean, so let me just go on with my story real quick, and then I got to hear yours. So,
nice.
1978, Memphis, Tennessee. We had moved into a subdivision that my grandfather had built the first duplex. That was his dream. I want to build a duplex subdivision, and so we lived on one side. My grandparents lived on the other side. It was like one big house. Mm-hmm. It was awesome. And so back in those days, it was a little bit safer, right?
Yep, you can have doors unlocked, door
open.
My
gosh. Yeah. It was like one big house. We didn't lock our door. We would just walk next door to my grandparents' house. Mm-hmm. And so 1978 Halloween, we were both 9 years old because you and I are the same age. And I can remember walking through the neighborhood with my parents and my sister, so excited. Halloween was a big deal. You dress up. I mean, you plan this thing for months.
Mm-hmm.
At least we did. At the end of the summer, it's like, all right, let's start thinking about Halloween.
We're the normal kids, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Are you saying I'm normal or paranormal?
Hey,
Well,
look
it was
where we're at now.
But you know what? 1979, 10 years old is when I had my first paranormal experience, which I'm going to get into on the show. I have someone who wrote about it in her book, and I didn't bring it with me. I'll bring it next week. And I'm not even going to mention who it is because I want to give her the full credit she deserves. But she contacted me out of nowhere and said, I'd like to put you in my book. I had no idea it was going to be the very first story in her book. But
Nice.
anyway, yeah, I'm very honored. But anyway, 1978. So walking through the neighborhood, Halloween, you're so excited. I mean, streets. And those of you that aren't our age, and those of you that are maybe much, much younger, Andrew, may not remember things like this, but the crowd, the streets and the sidewalks crowded with families, kids everywhere. You know, if you watch the movie Halloween, which there's a new one coming out on the 15th, I can't remember the new one, but I just saw an interview with, oh gosh, who is it? What is her name from? She's been in all of them. Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh, I love her. She's amazing. Anyways, but if you watch that movie, the original, and you see all the kids and families trick-or-treating, that's what it was like.
Mm-hmm.
And
For
so,
sure.
yeah. And so, and then there's the people who decided to have a haunted house in their own house. So they decorate their house. They want to spook you and scare you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through the front door or the side door, however they have it set up. And then you go out the opposite door when you're done.
Right.
And the parents were cool with it.
Dang.
They were cool with it.
I mean,
you didn't have that?
No, hell
What?
no.
In 1978, 79, 80?
No.
I mean, come on, man. That's how it was in my neighborhood. We had these people, they're considered now goth. But back then, we just considered them freaking weird. They literally had a hearse. It was this couple. This couple lived by themselves, pasty white. Now I look back and go, did they drink blood at night? I don't know. But anyways, pasty white and had a hearse. And literally I saw them building a casket.
They were
I was
building a casket while
Yes.
they were having kids and what?
No. This was like off season.
Off season.
Yeah.
Okay.
But during Halloween, they did put on a killer haunted house and gave out the best candy. But it's like they lived all year for that one night for Halloween and the whole month because their house was absolutely decorated. Decked out. Oh yeah. Like your house at Christmas is their house at Halloween, brother. I mean, it was just amazing. But that's the time period that was in.
Right.
Not to say that there wasn't crazy people putting razor blades and candy and stupid things like that, which
that crap started in mid late 80s with the razor blades.
Yeah, I don't even know when it started, to be honest. It's just a shame. It's sad. Somebody's got to ruin it for
Somebody
people.
else, right?
Always. So I would love it if we could bring the fun back into Halloween, you know? Mm-hmm. And when I went to, and you too, because you took Luke, your grandson, you and your wife, Heidi, to Halloween Town down in St. Helens.
Right.
That to me, I didn't bring Christina, my wife, or the grandkids, but I just talked to my granddaughter about it. We were watching on Disney Plus, of course. They have Halloween Town, Nightmare Before Christmas, stuff like that.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. We watched that too the other day.
Nice.
Got in the whole Halloween mood.
I was thinking about watching Halloween Town, but haven't had the time with my busy schedule.
Make the time. You got to watch it. You got to watch this. I mean, to me, it just brings me back to being a kid. I don't know. I told my wife, I looked at her the other night, I said, I think I'm going through a midlife crisis. I don't know what the heck's going on with me. I want to watch all these Halloween movies from when I was, younger. I want to say kid, but when I was younger, and just loving that time period.
Yeah. I know the other night, Heidi and I were actually watching the first Halloween movie back. Back in the day. Oh, I was like, God, what was it like back then? And I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, God damn, the graphics suck on this movie.
I know they do, but
like,
it's the whole feel, though.
but the way they present it, I'm like, yeah, the good old
Yeah.
feeling of getting spooked out, freaked
Yeah.
out,
And just like when she's upstairs and she looks down and she sees him, behind the clothes hanger thing. Oh my God. See that kind of stuff. I prefer that over gore. I can't stand gore.
Yeah.
Gore to me is not scary. It's unnecessary.
I mean, it has its place as long as it's done in a way that's tactful.
Bug flying around.
Yeah, look. Yay, what the heck? Hey, we got bugs in here, Andrew.
Uh-oh, somebody's leaving their garbage in here. Uh-huh.
Yeah, shoot them up.
That's right.
But yeah, the blood and gore, I mean, you can do with a little bit of blood. And
a little bit,
gore, yeah. You don't take it too extreme, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you got little kids,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3-year-olds, and don't take them through haunted houses, because God Almighty.
No.
Yeah.
But Oaks Park, I saw that on the news.
Didn't they just say they were going to be opening that up?
Yeah. Yeah. The haunted house actually looks pretty cool.
Is it? I didn't hear about. I just briefly saw a caption on Facebook or something like that.
Yeah.
That it was opening up, so I didn't.
Yeah, I saw a segment on the news the other day, actually yesterday, and the some of the props look really cool. So I'm a little impressed. I'm thinking
maybe might have to make a trip.
Yeah, maybe we should get
the
gang together and go
down research.
Yeah, there you go. Paranormal research, right? So let's get to some stories. So because it's the month of October, leading up to Halloween. Being paranormal investigators, I mean, maybe I did ask you what got you into the paranormal, but let me ask you now, what led you into getting into the paranormal and being a paranormal investigator?
Well, I've always had this fascination, so to speak, since I was a teenager. Ever since at that time, my first wife, we were sitting outside, and at that time it wasn't paranormal per se. Just looking up in the sky and just seeing weird stuff going through the sky. Kind of like a UFO, so to speak. Ever since then, I've always had that intrigue. Okay.
Is that what happened?
This is what I think it was.
So describe it. I mean, for those that are listening and can't see,
we're just in my front yard, laying down in the grass, looking up in the skies. I'm like, obviously you could tell weather planes, satellites, things of that. And then my eye just drew this thing that was sticking in the sky. And then it did like a Z shape. And no satellite, no airplane can do that.
No.
And at that time I couldn't, other than that, I didn't know what it was. I'm like, something extraterrestrial. It's got to be a UFO or something, because you hear the stories how UFOs can just
right,
do their thing and go one direction and then just automatically zip to another. But so that kind of got me thinking, okay, obviously I'm thinking UFOs, things out in the universe. Obviously we're not alone. So I'm like, okay, well, what else is there? I had a small, I don't want to say it was an encounter, but even before that time, before that what
year was that you experienced that laying in the grass?
Ooh.
And did she see it too?
I can't honestly remember. I think she may have seen it, but it was late 80s.
Okay, wow.
So, yeah, we were in high school.
We're a teenager, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But I also had, when I was 7 or 8, so before that even, I don't want to say it was an encounter. It could have been an encounter. Only, and I'll get to, here. My parents, we were in the church, and we had like a little church retreat over a weekend or whatnot. We were playing softball in this field or whatnot, and somebody obviously hits this ball into the woods because it backed up to like a forest or whatnot. So I went chasing into this forest, found the ball. Obviously, I'm standing there because I heard something. I heard something snap, like a twig or a branch break.
Mm.
There's no one else around me. And so I'm like, okay, well, I hear it. I don't see anything moving. So I just went on my way. 2 days later, in that same area, someone spotted what they thought was a Bigfoot.
Whoa.
And I'm like, I wonder if that is what I, may have potentially seen or heard.
Heard, yeah.
Maybe they were curious or whatnot. But so, it kind of goes back to those days.
Mm.
Obviously, okay, potential maybe Bigfoot. Okay, potential what I assume is a UFO in the sky.
Mm.
And it's weird because in the last week or so, I've been hearing and seeing stuff on UFO or reports of UFOs being seen.
Really?
Yeah. Some in
This
California-
last week?
In this last week. It's just,
Wow.
But to the paranormal side, it wasn't really until probably 2006, 2007, somewhere in there. It was after we had moved back from Central Oregon. We moved back in the middle of 2005. So it was the house that we were in. I was at work one day. Heidi's doing her a video vlog or whatever on her weight loss journey. And so she did all that. She went back to replay it to see how it looked and all that. And she heard this deep kind of growling voice say her name, not once, but twice. Okay. And so she kept playing it back, and she called me up on the phone and said, "Get your effing ass home now." I'm like, "Why? What's going on? Something wrong with your parents or what?" I'm thinking an emergency. There's something in here in this house. It's calling my name. You got to get here. I'm like, okay, well, fine. I get home. She shows me this video. I'm like, oh, you're just hearing things. And I had to listen to this like 2-3 times. And then I'm like, whoa.
One of you sent it to me, and I've heard, I've seen it and heard it.
Yeah, isn't it just? It gave me the chills.
Goosebumps. Yeah.
Well, unbeknownst to Heidi, ever since we moved into that house, there was an unfinished part of the attic with a window facing the street.
Where is this? I mean, don't do the address,
it's over here in Milwaukee.
Oh, it's also in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
it's not the current house, obviously.
No, it's just about 2 blocks off McLaughlin.
Okay.
In Oak Grove, actually.
Oh, okay.
So it's a couple miles from where we currently are.
Okay.
But in this window, every morning I would leave for work, and this went on until probably a year before we moved. Actually, it went on until we had our second paranormal team come in, which was White Light Paranormal Insight.
That's how you met them.
Well, kind of, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we knew about
Great
from
group. Can't wait to have
absolutely, knew about them obviously for the ghost conferences and whatnot. We had Trails and Paranormal Society in first.
Which one?
The Trails and
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
I was briefly a part of that group.
Okay, yeah. We talked about that.
Brief.
Yeah.
So about maybe a year before we moved, after White Light Paranormal Insight came in, did their thing, every day I'd come home or leave to go to work, I'd be staring at that window. Every day. And when I'm even getting chills
I can
off
see
of that.
him. Seriously, too bad the camera can't pick that up.
Yeah, that's...
he's literally got goosebumps.
Wow. I'd feel
Chicken
like
skin.
I'd feel like somebody or something was staring at me.
Yeah.
When I'd leave every morning.
Is it the attic?
Yeah,
window?
It was up in the attic, that unfinished window or attic
Did
area.
you send me pictures of this house? If not, I get a visual.
I honestly I can't remember, but I know I also had another podcast I was doing, and we did a remote from my front yard at the house there.
I remember you told me about
that. We had some bands that we were interviewing, a band that we were interviewing. They were taking pictures of the house, so everything. They took a picture of that window, and they're like, "Dude, is there anybody upstairs?"
Ooh.
I'm like, "No, why?" They showed me this picture of a face. It was a guy's face, and I'm sitting here. Okay, at this point, I'm not a part of any paranormal team or none. I'm sitting here
Right.
trying to debunk it.
Right.
Okay, I'm like, well, I have Christmas lights up there, and there's a small section that's falling down.
Mm.
Could that possibly pay
On the outside,
on the
obviously.
outside?
Yeah.
I'm like, can that possibly,
They're like, no.
And I'm like, nope, that's not it. Well, come to find out, um, after both paranormal groups, we did find a bunch of paranormal stuff going on in the house. Up in
White
Summers,
light came
white.
in
Well,
or trails in
Trails End first.
first.
They got a few small things,
Mhm.
but White Light came in, and I think they were a lot thorougher. Because not only Heidi hearing her name on that video.
Do you have that somewhere that you can grab it?
I'm sure Heidi still does somewhere.
Do you think during a break you can reach her and have her send it? Maybe we can play it before.
She's
show.
unavailable for quite a while today.
Oh, okay.
So maybe on their show or
All
something.
right.
But Heidi would wake up in the middle of the night, see somebody standing at either at the side of the bed or at the end of the bed. Okay. And she would wake me up. I'm like, I don't see anything. I would wake up in the middle of the night smelling cigar or cigarette smoke. And
neither one of you smoked.
Neither one of us smoked. Our house sits well off the road.
Yeah.
Okay. Windows are closed.
Did White Light tell you? Because this is the only group I know that had like 5 psychic mediums.
Right.
I mean, literally, and they
do.
are the most fantastic group.
Absolutely.
Love them all. Literally, we both do. I mean, we know them all very personally.
Yeah.
But did any of them tell you if it was a male or female? I know what I feel and what I'm seeing, but
I gave them my assumption or who I thought it was.
Yeah.
I told them I thought it was my uncle
who
passed away. Because he used to smoke. And
cigars or cigarettes or both?
I honestly I can't remember. I think it was cigars. But
what did they tell you?
It was.
Do you remember?
It almost matched from what they were, and they never saw a picture of my uncle, and I know he used to wear flannels and things like that. It was pretty much a dead,
which is freaky,
dead on.
Because I see a man with flannel with a cigar hanging out of his mouth.
See, and I have.
We've talked about this, but we've never talked about this part.
Right.
I remember you telling me about the smell of the smoking, but this was like early on in our friendship, so we didn't know each other real well.
Right. I only have one picture in my house of my uncle, but it's not with him in a flannel. It's like a white T-shirt.
Wow.
No one's seen that. I mean, it's in my hallway now where we're at.
You have to show me next time.
Yeah.
I'm over there. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Wow, that's creepy.
So
the fact that not your uncle, don't get me wrong, but just the connection.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And so not only that, when Heidi wasn't home, I'd be in the front room watching TV. And again, I tend to watch TV in the dark. Who watches shit TV and with lights on unless you're doing something. I'm seeing shadow movement out of the corner of my eye.
Wow.
And when light paranormal came in, they said, yeah, it's just someone passing through. They basically said, it's like a portal. They just come in and out. We also got stuff up in Summer's room. And Summer was feeling stuff up there.
Wow.
And it comes to find out it was her grandmother. Not Heidi's mom. So I guess it would be her great-grandmother.
Yeah, because at the time she was still here.
Yeah. No.
Oh, this is after?
Yeah.
Heidi's mom passed?
Well, it was Summer's great-grandma, so it's not.
Oh.
So
great-grandma. Okay.
Her great-grandmother passed I believe right after Heidi and I got married.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So, White Light Paranormal came in. They did their thing. They got pretty much everyone to move on. It took 2 or 3 of the mediums or whatnot to deal with the guy up in the attic. He didn't want to go.
Your uncle? or somebody
No,
else? There's somebody else.
this is the guy that was staring out the attic window
Right.
when I would
Okay.
leave. He didn't want to go.
Wow.
He didn't
Was
want.
he just attached to the house, or did
I
he live there previously?
couldn't
Or?
figure it out.
Hmm.
But he didn't want to go. He didn't want to talk too much. But
Hmm.
they did finally get him to cross over.
So let me ask you a question. And this is kind of a conversation I've had before with others, is do you think that if a spirit doesn't want to cross, do you think it's the job of a medium to continue pushing for that spirit to go if they're not wanting to go?
I mean,
really, if they're not hurting
if they're
anybody,
not hurting anybody, and they're minding their own business,
yeah,
and the people in the house don't mind.
yeah. I mean, did you guys mind?
I didn't, I felt like someone was there.
Yeah.
But since they got him to go, I was okay with it.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing. After they got him to pass on, I stopped looking at that window. Not like a psychological thing or something. It just, I didn't, nothing was drawing me there.
Yeah.
And then, like weeks before we moved, I started looking up in that window again.
Really? What was there?
I don't know. I felt like something ended up back up there.
Wow. I just, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's.
And this is after, well, you guys sold the house and then moved.
Yeah. To where we're at now.
To
yeah.
where you're at now. So.
Obviously with all that going on, that got me more into wanting to know more about the paranormal, obviously.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started spending more time when it was ghost conference time, trying to hit all the conferences I could. So I think I've missed the first 2 or 3 years of the conference, and I've been there every year since.
Yeah.
And that's when I met Neil McNeil, I think.
Neil McNeil. I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah. One of the people there at the conference, they said, I should start my own team. That's when I'm like, well, I'm just now starting to try and understand what's going on.
Yeah.
This little bug.
Little gnat.
Yeah.
Or something, yeah.
So I'm sitting there trying to understand it all. And he's like, you need to start your own team. Well, I can't start my own team if I don't comprehend what's necessarily going on or how to use equipment.
Yeah.
Someone will ask me, okay, what's this used for or that? And I'm like, oh, I'll say, I don't know. They just told me I needed it. So right? I didn't want to do any of that.
Yeah.
So that's when I jumped on with Trails End, which was honestly a waste of my time.
Neil McNeil. That name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I just can't place him. Was he with Trails End?
No, he's he knows.
Is he still around?
He knows Casey and Ben, the guys from
Oregon Paranormal. Or
something like that. Yeah. So anyway, so I said, well, one day I will. I just want to get more, familiar with everything and to understand and get more knowledge. And then not too long after that, my friend, it's all pretty much history after that, I met you, got to know you. Hell, I can't get rid of you now.
No, I
Just
know.
kidding.
We're stuck.
But, and jumped on with Northwest Paranormal, and then I still, honestly, I don't know a whole lot. Straight up, I have a bunch of equipment, but still.
But none of us do, though.
No, we're all still students of, I want to say students of the game, even though it's not a game.
No.
But students of, the paranormal. You'll never fully understand. You'll never fully learn.
I've been technically investigating since 1998, and that's when I started Northwest Paranormal Investigative Team. But I'd been interested way before then.
Right.
Mine started when I was 10, and when I had my first paranormal experience. But I think we're going to go to break before I start that. But
sweet.
and I'll tell that story. But my life has been filled with so much paranormal stuff that's happened,
Yeah.
and which really threw me in uh, the curiosity, you know, and that's what started. I think that's what starts that for everybody.
Yeah, you know,
You know?
and for me, I still, even the house we're in now, I got
Mm.
stuff going on there.
Oh yeah,
You and I have had
Yeah.
many conversations.
yeah,
I mean, just as recently as last week.
yeah.
You know?
And when you're when you have psychic abilities, which I believe we all do, and with my recent health scare, and really literally almost dying, you know, and coming out of the hospital, my abilities have really amped up. It's like I've become like a beacon, and so all these spirits are just like coming in and out of my house, and it's like, holy moly, what is going on, you know?
Right.
So, but we can talk about stuff like that later. When we come back from break, I'll give a little bit about what happened to me at 10 and what sparked my interest in the paranormal throughout the rest of my life. And then wanting to start this group in 98, how that started, and then started Paranormal Crossings, and then from the original Paranormal Crossings, because it all kind of ties in with 1998. So hang on tight. We'll be right back with Paranormal Crossings Into the Light with Aaron Collins and
James Mitchell.
all right.
Yes. It's all good. right, welcome back to Paranormal Crossings Into Your Light as we continue our discussions with stories, how we got into the paranormal or any of that good stuff.
Yes.
And you were about to talk to us about your little incident when you were 10?
Yes. So, again, like I said before, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, and so my grandfather had started these duplexes that he had built in this one subdivision, and we were one of the first ones to live there. And a few doors down, I was 10 years old. It was 1979, and my friend William, will always remember this name. He invited me to come spend the night, and so the interior, not the exterior, but the interior of his house mirrored the interior of mine. So where his parents' bedroom was, the master, is exactly where my parents' was, but where my sister's room and my room and his sister's room were just opposite. But I knew the layout, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
yeah.
my mom believed until the day she died last year that she had to have night lights everywhere. So it was like being in a football stadium, at night in the house, because she didn't want anybody to trip and hurt themselves. So, but my friend's mom didn't believe in the same thing. So, if you get up during the night to use the restroom, you better know your way, right? Or turn on a light, which I wasn't going to be rude. So anyways, long story short, I'm 10 years old, get up during the night. I'm at my friend's house. He's kind enough to let me take his captain's bed. If you don't know what that is, it's a single twin bed, but it's got these drawers underneath, which is really cool. But he also had a love seat type couch or something also in his room, which, at 10 years old, how cool was that? He just had the coolest room, right? So anyway, so he let me have the bed. He took the couch. And but I had to use the bathroom so bad. So get up during the night, go to the restroom, and as soon as I'm done, I turn around to turn the light off. I open the door, and just before I turn the light off, there's the hallway. And now when I went to the bathroom, it was so dark that I kind of had to feel my way to the bathroom. But again, I knew my way around because it was the same layout as my house. So anyways, I go to turn the light up, but just before I turn the light off, this woman walks by. As she walks by, and I can still feel the breeze from her body going past me. Excuse me. But she had this long dark hair and a long dark robe, but she had no face. What I mean by that, she had skin pulled over a skull. She had the definition of a nose, but no eyes and no mouth. Like nothing, just skin. 10 years old. Now, this happened so fast. His mom had a face, and she did not have long hair, not long dark hair. I was terrified. So with all that happening at once, I turned the light off, had the door open like this, and I took off. And I took off running, slapping the walls to get to his room. And, I get to the bedroom and I sprint and I leaped in the air to the bed. And as soon as I hit that bed, his chihuahua had jumped in the bed. Oh my gosh. So I had to go back to the bathroom. This time I held it. I'm like, oh my God. Anyways, I didn't tell nobody that story forever. I just didn't know how to explain what I saw.
Didn't know how to process it.
Exactly. So for years, I held that in. But throughout the years, I started to have different paranormal things happen. I never spent the night at his house again. I will tell you that. And what's weird about that is I noticed that even after I turned the light off, I did look down the hall quickly and she was gone. And at the end of that hall, one end to my right is the parents' bedroom. Their door was shut. And how could I even tell if I had to feel my way? Well, the window all the way to the left is a big bay window, just like at my house. the drapes were open and the moon was shining through. It wasn't like that when I came to the bathroom. I can't explain why. All of a sudden, that was open. It was very strange. So, anyway, I never spent the night there again. Never told anybody until much, much later. And then strange things started happening at my place. It was only a few doors down, 2 doors actually. And so I don't know whatever happened to him, where he went or anything. I never told him that story. So then
to this day,
to this day, yeah. I don't, yeah.
I was kind of wondering if maybe he might have say something later on, hey,
I don't know.
Anything happened? I've got the same issues, and maybe we just didn't want to tell each other.
That would be interesting, but I have no way of even tracking him down. I don't have anybody I don't know his last name. So I don't have a way of knowing, unfortunately. But anyways, so weird things started happening. Then my grandfather died at 14, when I was 14, unexpectedly. And right after that happened, then paranormal things started happening to our family, including my grandmother. And it just kept happening throughout my life. Then I'm 45 years old and I get 45. I get contacted by a lady from Canada who does a paranormal magazine. She asks me for her 1 year. I've never talked to her a day of my life. I don't even know how she found me. It wasn't 45. It was 40 years old, I think. Nevertheless, she contacts me and wants to do an article about me and what I do and all that for her 1 year anniversary issue. And I said, okay, I'll do the interview. It was all over email. And she asked about my first experience with paranormal.
I think I'm remembering this now a little bit.
Okay. So it had been 40 years at least. We'll say 40. I think it's around 40. I still have this email that we did back and forth.
Still have it.
I still have it. Oh, I'm not going to get rid of it. and here's why. Because she asked about my first paranormal experience. I told her what happened to me at 10 years old. I described it to a T, just like I did with you. And she said, oh my gosh, Aaron, I know what you saw. And I said, what do you mean? You know what I saw? She said, because she is a medium and a psychic, that when she was a kid, she used to not be like normal other children and play in cemeteries and play with spirit children, right?
Okay.
And I was like, okay. And she said, one day she saw a female walking through the cemetery who was also a spirit, and she had no face. And I said, what? This is in Canada. And I said, okay. And so she turned to the other kids and said, who is this woman? Because she was just walking around aimlessly and she had no face. She described her similar to what I had described, minus the robe, And so, and the hair is different, but the face, no eyes, no mouth, just skin pulled over a skull. And she said, who is that woman? And she said, the children told her, this is the unmother. And she said, what's an unmother? She had been dead for so long that she had been searching for her own children for so long, she lost her own identity. Oh, it was bittersweet because I think I finally got an answer after 40 some odd years or 40 years, whatever. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it broke my heart to be gone that long and searching for your own children, that you lost your own identity. I mean, that just killed me,
Yeah.
So it was a relief that, wow. I mean, somebody in Canada, it took someone in Canada doing an interview for this anniversary issue and me telling my story just over email before ever being published. And then her telling me, oh my gosh, I saw the same thing when I was a kid. Like, what? What are the chances? Really? Seriously?
Yeah.
I have told that story I don't know how many times, and then somebody telling me that they have seen the same thing and knows what it is. And so, yeah. But I've never seen her since. And so, but yeah, that was my first encounter with the paranormal. So all my life, since that encounter, it's like the paranormal has just sought me out in a way. if that makes sense.
Yes.
Something's always happened and happens.
Mm-hmm.
Then probably 90, well, no, it's 97-ish. My ex-wife and I, our daughter, she was in Girl Scouts, and one of the moms was involved, and so we all became friends. And one day she was at the house, the mom was, and she had mentioned something about paranormal. And I just kind of looked at her because I always had that fascination, but I didn't have a team or anything. And I had mentioned being interested in the paranormal and yada, yada, yada. And next thing I know, she's telling me she's a psychic medium. And I go, what? You are kidding me. Anyways, so next thing I know, she asked me if I would go, if I wanted to go on a mini investigation with her. That was my dream. I mean, I wanted to go on an investigation. I'd never been on one ever. So I thought, well, yeah. So before we went, she said, you have psychic abilities. First time anybody had ever told me that. And I thought she was crazy. And she said, the house that we're going to go to, I want you to concentrate and tell me what you think or what you feel. And I did. I smelled smoke. I see a little girl hiding behind these stairs. Couldn't tell you why. And it turns out because there was a fire at that house at one time and the child died in a fire. I had no idea. Wow. So anyways, that's why. But anyways, so she took me to the house. It was just surreal. First ever investigation. And she had a camera, but took a camera. I think we had a digital recorder that was hers. I didn't have anything. And I mean, that was it. That was my first, and I'll never forget it. But she became my first co-host for Paranormal Crossings. She and I started Paranormal Crossings, but it was on blogtalkradio.com at first. Then the TV thing came, and we did the TV thing, and then here you and I are, and Darrin, and the rest is history. But that's how I got involved in the paranormal, really, because of that incident that happened when I was 10. That's what started it. And what kick-started everything else was her taking me on that investigation and telling me, you have psychic abilities, and then tapping in. It just shocked me. So that's what led to everything.
Holy cow.
And then starting the team like you did, I didn't know anything, nothing, but I started to research. I was an investigator for a retail chain. And so me and the guy that co-founded the team with me, we decided to take the skills that we learned as investigators and apply it to paranormal investigating, which is a little different, but not really. I mean, if you think about it, you're investigating. So anyway, so that's, we're talking 1998. So a long time ago. Right. And here we are now. And back then it was more out of curiosity. Now I do it because I want to help people.
Right.
Sure, there's still that curiosity. We're always researching. We're still learning.
I was going to say, yeah, for me, it's, still curiosity, but it's more of wanting to try and help.
Yeah.
Like you said. So,
yeah. What keeps you going? There's a lot of disappointments out there now. I mean, with the pandemic and everything, it's tough. And, honestly, I went into, for me, what really brought me out was, we were joking with Clyde Lewis, who does his show on Channel Weird right before us. He and Ron Patton, who's, his producer, but they asked me last April, I think it was April, to be on his show. And I almost said no, because I kind of was in hiding, with the pandemic and everything. Right. I just didn't want to do anything anymore. I just lost my umph for anything paranormal.
And it's weird because that's pretty much when I said, screw it, it's time to break out on my own. It was like almost opposite.
That. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So you kind of,
but then that's when back. I said, all right, I'll do it. I did the show, and then I was like, I think I may have even talked to you and said, I'm ready to get back out there.
Yeah. It was right after that. Yeah.
But anyway.
So it was like, for me, it was like, okay, it's time to step out. People with the pandemic are home. They're going to notice more.
Yeah.
You think, okay, hey,
but here we're turning people down because of the pandemic. Then that's the hard thing.
Well,
Maybe
yeah.
not right now, but
Yeah, I've done since I've done like 3 or 4 small little investigations, not
yeah,
nothing big,
yeah,
But again, I'm still really learning most of the stuff. So that's why I like it that we're like a paranormal family. I can go to you or Darren
yeah,
and say, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking. Can you either tell me what your thoughts are, validate what I'm saying, or anything?"
yeah.
And so, yeah,
Well,
it's
and
just
that's
it's really the help factor
yeah,
to put people at rest.
yeah,
Like you were saying earlier, asking if it's right to move somebody on or not.
mm,
That's when the investigations say, hey, some people just want to know who's there.
yeah,
They may not necessarily want them to be gone.
yeah. And the
Y-
spirit may not want to go anywhere.
Exactly. So, you're doing those investigations, find whatever evidence
Mm,
or whatnot. Well, if the spirit doesn't want to move on, hey, we'll say, hey, this is so and so. He's gonna try to stay out of your way. He doesn't want to leave. He's not gonna harm you. You know,
come up with a deal.
come up with a deal. And
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
and some people are okay with that. Maybe some still aren't.
yeah,
But we give them those options.
yeah.
I
Communication is key,
yeah,
to be honest.
exactly. So yeah,
Yeah. It's tough with everything that's happened, but at the same time, people still need help.
yeah.
And you said family. I mean, there's a very dear friend of mine who I was in business with and who passed away in 2008, 2007. And unexpectedly, anyways, his daughter really wants to make a connection with him. And I told her I could try, but there's someone else who is more um, practiced, I guess. I don't want to say who it is, but
Right.
anyways, very well known psychic medium. And so they said that they would try to do that with me. And so we're going to be doing that hopefully soon to go to her. And, but it's all part of family. And that's not somebody who's on my team. It's somebody I've worked with many times in the past,
Right.
or several times in the past. And so, and that's what I like about being, ever since I've been a part, and I'm sure for you too, but being part of the Oregon Ghost Conference, I have made so many friends
Oh
and
yes.
family that I consider family.
Yeah.
White light paranormal insight
Oh my
alone,
gosh.
we can call on any
Any of
number
them.
of them and ask
Absolutely.
them for help for anything. And as long as they're available and can do it, they'll do it.
Yeah.
And there's others too. And so
Absolutely.
that's what I love about the para unity. It's supposed to be para unity.
Yeah.
And because we can call on each other, there really are issues that people really don't get. They don't understand.
Mhm.
And some may be listening or watching today and think this is a bunch of crap, the whole paranormal thing. But until you've gone through it, been a part of it, or it's affected you or someone in your
It could
family,
traumatize you.
it can.
I mean,
What happened to me at 10
I'd
did
say I was
traumatize
gonna
you.
say, yeah, at that age for you,
Yeah.
and
And to feel like I
'cause
really couldn't talk to anybody about it, because what do you say?
yeah.
I saw a lady with no face. I mean, how do you explain that to your parents?
Oh, you were just dreaming.
My dad was a skeptic until the last, I don't know, maybe 4 years of his life, maybe. But my mom, she was different. I could have probably talked to her, but they would have thought I was crazy at the time. Maybe not crazy, but you were half
right.
asleep.
Well, it's like a good example from my childhood. There'd be a couple of years where I'd spend the summer in Central Oregon at my aunt and uncle's house.
Mm,
Growing up, when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old,
mm,
going to sleep, I had to call my mother one night from there because looking outside where my aunt and uncle lived, it was off the main freeway. They had a bunch of property, bunch of fields and stuff.
mm.
Where I was sleeping, there was a window right across the way. Every time cars would go by, I saw a figure standing there.
Ooh. Wow.
It was weird, but there was nothing there.
Yeah.
And so one year, I had every night almost call my mother.
Wow.
I'd tell her I was scared because there was somebody on outside, and my aunt and uncle weren't doing nothing about it.
What was your mom's response?
She said I was dreaming.
See,
But
that's
yet,
what my
but
fear
yet,
was.
but yet, I'm fully awake.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
I was attempting to go to sleep.
Right.
You
Well,
know, see,
so
and
you got
see,
up and looked every night, or how did that happen?
we went and looked. I had my
Okay.
aunt and uncle look, and this story has never been told to anybody till now.
Oh my gosh.
So you're the first to hear this
Woo.
one.
And you guys.
Yeah, right. And we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've never heard this
no,
story. Woo.
every summer we'd go, and it didn't matter. Every night, headlights or something, there was a figure standing on the other side of the window.
Wow.
But yet there was nothing there.
Wow. This is on the first floor at your aunt and uncle's
Yeah,
house.
well,
in
yeah,
Central
because they had
Oregon.
like it was a double wide trailer.
Okay.
With their houses.
Wow. Wow. What did the figure look like to you? A person?
It was a
animal?
person from the waist up. That's all I was able to see.
Wow.
I couldn't see a face.
Yeah.
Because it was like digitalized, kind of, so to speak. You know,
Yeah.
you just see the headlights or lights, but yet they were in a distance, but the figure was so close.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay.
So-
And how old were you?
Oh, I was preteen. I had to have been.
Wow.
Because I eventually I said, no, I ain't going back up there anymore during the summer, man. I didn't have to keep calling my mama every
Right.
night saying, there's somebody out there, they're going to get me, you
Right.
know, and then to be told,
That's
oh, you're just
traumatizing.
imagining stuff or you're dreaming. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. So
See?
traumatizing, yeah.
Yeah. See, we both had traumatic stuff happen. But then to have a parent, see, and that's what I feared, is that my mom was going to say, well, you were just dreaming, or my dad definitely, you
Mhm.
know, because he
Yep.
was a skeptic. Everything was just black or white. That was it. There was no paranormal anything.
Mhm.
So, but my mom, she probably would have said, you know, you're just dreaming or
Oh, yeah.
whatever. So,
I mean, even
man, that's terrifying, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, even to this day, every now and then, if I see something that just isn't right, or I get feeling, oh, you're just seeing things, or you're just something weird going on with you, or something.
I've
like
heard
that.
you say that.
Yeah.
Yep. I've caught you saying stuff like that before.
But
But you know, but that's instinct, because you had that drilled in you for so long
Yeah.
when you were young, and
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
problem. You
Yeah.
know? So
I mean, yeah, you know, there's some that I just think that some people are trying to get some attention by doing that. And if you know the people, you already can gauge, you know, if they're being sincere or not.
yeah,
And so yeah.
yeah,
So sometimes, yeah, I can get away with saying, "Oh, yeah, you're just," because I know you.
yeah,
You know, I know how you are. Because if I have this experience, you want to say you've had it too,
Right.
just to share that,
yeah,
save sharing that.
yeah. There were some stories that I wanted to share, that my aunt had sent me. Then, and she said, and I thought they were stories from my uncle, who she's married to, who's Native American. But then she sent me a invitation to join a group on Facebook, and so I did. And it's other Native Americans. It's a group for other Native Americans, which I'm not Native American, but um, anyways. But I have the utmost respect and love that culture.
And see, for me,
And
I was
so-
always told I had some Native American in me,
Mm.
but I don't.
Yeah.
I
So
debunked that just a few years ago.
yeah. Was it through the DNA thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still need to do that DNA testing thing, because I'm just curious. I mean, I know some, but I want to know for sure everything.
But I
so-
know.
But anyway.
But I have a side of family I hardly know that
Yeah.
is actually Native American.
Oh,
related,
okay.
So yeah.
So anyway, so I asked her if I could read some of these stories on the show today,
Right.
and keep it anonymous. And she said, "Well, yeah, that's fine. I don't have permission, to give you, but as long as it's anonymous. And I said, sure. Well, then she she sent me an invite to this group. I joined the group. It's from the group. It's not from my uncle. She never said it was, but I thought, I can't read these because they're personal stories from these other Native Americans from this group. So if I read these stories and they hear it, I don't have permission from these people.
Right.
And I just joined the group yesterday. So it's not like I was going to say, hey, by the way, I'm new to the group. Hello. No, I'm not Native American, but my aunt sent me this, story to read. And can I read it on a show live tomorrow? Video podcast called Paranormal Crossings Into the Light? No, I wasn't going to do that.
Right.
So I can't read those stories.
No.
So as bad as I wanted to.
That goes along with the respect
Exactly.
of other people and situations.
Which leads us into, I think we're going to take another break. And when we come back, let's talk about respecting spirits and respecting boundaries and respecting just investigations.
Absolutely.
And not reading stories that belong to other people without.
Yeah.
I just can't, morally, I can't do
Yeah,
it. So I'm not going to.
right.
So, all right.
Makes
so,
sense.
Yeah. So we'll see you when we come back from our short break. Paranormal Crossings
Into the light.
All right, welcome back to Paranormal Crossings Into the Light. So just before break, we were talking about respect, right?
Yes.
Respect and investigating and spirits and all that good stuff. So one of the things that irks me is, we've all watched the shows where people are just so disrespectful and rude to the spirits, and I demand and I command, and who the hell are you to do that?
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna just walk into a place in somebody else's home and look at them and say, "I demand you give me something to drink." I mean, really? Get out.
Exactly. Get the hell out.
And so it just really, really irritates me. But the same thing you and I have been talking about off camera about respect, spirits, and all that, and I don't even know how we want to lead into without giving anything away.
Too much, yeah.
Yeah.
Just yeah. I'm trying to figure the right wording for it.
I know.
Without obviously giving too much away, but you just, if you're gonna go in and investigate, go in, be respectful. If the spirit or entity or whatever doesn't want to talk, just don't demand, hey,
Yeah.
I know you're here, kind of a thing.
Don't push.
Just don't push.
Yeah.
Like Heidi and I, like I said, we have this little saying that every place has a story. We have the ghosts tell us. If they don't want to tell us, they're not going to.
Right.
Don't push them.
Exactly.
It may take a couple visits.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not comfortable with you.
Exactly. And it may not be, you could go in as a group, and
maybe someone in that
group they're not comfortable with.
Exactly.
Give it time. And it may be you that the spirit wants to talk to you.
Exactly.
Just you out of the group. Who knows?
So, if that spirit wants to talk to you, them giving you their story.
Yeah.
Give them their due diligence.
Yeah.
If you're going to tell their story, tell it in whole.
Yeah.
Don't leave bits and pieces out, even if it's not what you want to hear.
Right. It's not always what we want to hear.
Right.
It's their story.
It's their story.
Right.
I mean, I read something a couple of weeks ago, and it just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
And it still doesn't.
Yep. And unfortunately, I read the same thing.
Did you?
And it bothered me. I mean, it shook me to my core, to be honest. And this is brutal. It's a brutal story, but we don't need to talk about the specifics.
But
man,
going back into the respect.
Yeah.
Don't just go in demanding.
Yeah.
Like you said, some of these shows, and they're made for entertainment.
Yeah.
And I've heard stories that some people are like that, even in real life, as they are on camera. And I've heard they're totally different when they're not on camera.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have to be two ways.
No. And
that's because it's contradicting being, because what if that spirit goes from one location to another? Okay, you've treated him like crap in one location, but yet in another location, you treat him like normal.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to say it, Ghost Adventures, when I was on Ghost Adventures.
I wasn't going to say it, but.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say it. And the reason being is because I have nothing bad to say about Zach Bagans because, as you know, Christina and I were on, and Jane Lundgren.
Right.
We're on, but we were on a separate.
Right.
We were on the Norblad episode. Because the whole reason was because I was attacked by a demon.
Right.
That was the reason. I am a minister and they don't like me. And I did not, for the first and last time, I didn't prepare myself or protect myself before going into the Norblad.
Right.
And it was my idea because we were there with Jeff Davis for this whole weekend of paranormal investigating, and that Saturday it was hosted. Well, this one particular gentleman who worked for the hotel that we were originally at, everything was going great, and I said, is there another place, a haunted location that we could go to that's relatively close? And he said, actually, we have a sister hotel called the Norblad.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Do you think you could set up an investigation there for tomorrow night? And this was a Friday night, I'm sorry. And so I was looking for Saturday. And he said, because we're there till Sunday. We check out Sunday. And he said, oh, I'm sure I could. Let me see what I can do. Well, he did. And I was worried and preoccupied of other things I'm not going to mention on air. And so I just didn't protect myself. Why? I'm a minister. I know better. And I've been doing this a long time. I just didn't do it. Anyways, go down there. The second I went down there, I got attacked. I mean, it was waiting. It already knew.
Right.
So and we went the whole group. Not everybody agrees. Not everybody thinks that there was a demonic being down there, and that's fine. They can think whatever they want. They wanted to debate with me, and that's fine. Good for them.
Just give the respect that needs to be shown.
Yeah. I know what happened to me.
Whether they believe it or not.
Right. Exactly. And that's the thing, after that happened, I had this one particular person who was a friend, just kept jabbing at me on my page. And I'm like, dude, that's enough. That's enough. I know what happened to me. I know what it was. So anyways, long story short, when I agreed to do the show, and I will say this, my wife and I did not get paid to go down to Astoria, to go back to the hotel where I got attacked to do ghost adventures. They did not offer to pay us at all. We accepted absolutely no money for this interview whatsoever, or travel, nothing. It was actually our anniversary coming up. So we decided to go.
Getaway.
It was. So we had a great time anyways, whether we did the show or not. And so anyways, so we go down there. Zach heard that my attack was at the Norblad. So because of the attack and the severity of it, he heard through the producer and through the scout, Jeff Belanger, he decided to change out of the goodness of his heart. He didn't have to do this. He could have taken me down to the basement.
Being a little more respectful
yes,
to you.
Going to the respect part. Yes. And my attack and the severity, he didn't want to put me back at the Norblad, which is where I was sitting and waiting for him we waited many hours for this crew. But I get it. I understand. I'm not saying anything bad. We had a great time there. But he wanted to have it at the Commodore. That's the hotel that we stayed at and had the first investigation, which was fantastic. And so anyways, so he said, why don't we have it? That's what he told his crew. Let's have this is crazy. He said, let's have his interview, he and his wife, at the Commodore. So they last minute got a room, paid for whatever. It's the same room my wife and I stayed in when we went for the investigation. The exact same room. The exact same room. Oh, no. I was like, are you kidding? So we're going up I go down there to grab some coffee and stuff because we're still waiting on the crew, right? Me and June, Wendy, and my wife are at the Norblad in the lobby waiting and waiting and waiting. We'd already signed all the paperwork and everything. So I go down there to grab everybody a drink. While I'm down there, two of the producers come in and said, Aaron, listen, there's been a change of plans. And that's when they tell me what Zach wanted to do. And I go, seriously? And by the way, he wants to have us buy your drinks or whatever you're having. I'm like, nice. What? Okay. So the producers paid for our stuff. Great. Not a big deal. And he's like, but if you guys could just come on down, you and your wife, that'd be great. And we'll get this started. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So get everything, run back up to the Norblad, explain everything to them. And then me and my wife come down there. So we're riding up in the elevator with Aaron Goodwin and gosh, who else was it with us? There's Aaron Goodwin and there's name escapes me right now, but I will Billy Tully. And so riding in the elevator, just cracking up, laughing, and then we get off on the floor.
And then
it's our same room, and I go, we're laughing at each other. My wife and I were like, you've got to be kidding. It's the same. So we walk in and there's Zach sitting there. And Zach is like, hey. And I said, hey, Zach, I'm Aaron. And this is my wife, Christina. And you're never going to believe this. And he said, what? And I said, this is the same room my wife and I stayed when we actually did the investigation at the Norblad. He said, are you serious? I mean, he couldn't believe the coincidence.
Wow.
So his reasoning for having the interview at the Commodore instead of the Norblad is because of my attack. If that's not good-hearted, That's not the same guy you see on screen,
No.
yelling at demons and yelling at negative entities and blah, blah, blah. I also told him during the interview, which I never expected him to do this. So if you get a chance, pull up Ghost Adventures, Norblad, not you, but I know you've seen it, but whoever wants to watch it. And I say that, since they're doing the investigation they were going to do it that following night, I wanted to pray for them. I said, remind me, I'd like to pray for you later. And he said, well, let's just do it now. I was like, what? Mm-hmm. I've never seen anybody do that right then and there before, prior to that. So I'm like, okay. So I sat there and prayed. Then later, Christina, my wife, she had a necklace that has black salt in it for protection. She had it with her, and she told Zach that she would like to give that to him and have him wear it during the investigation. He literally bent down, because he's 6 feet or so. He's taller than me. I'm short. So is Christina. And he bent down and let her put it around his neck. Now, whether he wore it during the investigation, I don't know, but the kindness, that's the point, the kindness. With him, Billy, with all the guys, every one of those guys. We spent time with Aaron outside. It's just the kindness. But Zach displayed so much. He offered me help because he felt like I still needed help from a priest, and I kept denying it. I didn't realize at the time I was still under the influence of that demonic attack. June Lundgren actually, several days later, cut the cord that was still attached between me and that demon. Mm-hmm. I thought I got rid of it. Apparently I didn't get rid of it fully. And so she was able to take care of that. So he was right, though. I should have accepted the help, but I didn't. And on several occasions, he asked me during that interview, even off camera. And I kept saying, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. That would have been probably another episode.
Probably.
Yeah, because they would have had to get somebody in.
Yeah.
I know who he would have flown in too. So I've talked to them several times.
Nice.
So, but anyway, but as far as the respect goes, that's what I don't understand. I saw him for who he is, because he also I told him about how the first thing that they go for, the demons, is my spine, because I have a spinal disease, debilitating, and it's getting worse. Okay, so it is what it is. Well, he had just had spinal surgery, and he looked at me and he said, how did it feel? And I explained to him, and it's in the interview too, but there's a lot of off-camera, dialogue too. But he said, I just had spinal surgery. Nobody knew about. And he said, that's how I felt when I get attacked. And anyways, but it's just the kindness, the sympathy. Mm-hmm. You don't see that on camera very often with him. All. I do sometimes. Like now that he's older, you can see it. Early on, oh no, I'm just, I'm going to lift a house and throw it at the demons and yell at it, and, and so, but the kindness was just unreal. And that's not who you see on camera all the time, yelling at people and blah, blah, blah. That was also the first time I ever met, the only time I ever met Dakota Layden, who has his own Destination Fear show.
Yes, which is
I had to ask him, well, what was your name again? Oh, my name's Dakota. He was there filming also.
Really?
So I got a picture of him too behind the scenes, which was really cool. The whole crew, I'm telling you, they were great. Yeah. So anyways, I can go on forever, but the whole respecting, and that's why I always told everybody on my team, you got to show respect. And the spirits will know. Yeah. They'll know.
Be truthful, be honest.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. It goes to, helping the client out. If be truthful, honest. Hey, this spirit just doesn't want to go. Hell, he's just all bent off. Maybe it's something you're doing in the house that's, it maybe just change things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Coexist.
Yes. There's nothing wrong with coexist. You coexist anyways. Most of the time, you just don't know it.
Right.
People that refuse to admit that there's spirits, that there's ghosts, or whatever you want to call it, guess what? They exist whether you think so or not. Mm-hmm. We do and have caught proof. I mean, how do you explain the voices?
Yeah.
How do you explain some of the pictures you and I have got? some of the evidence. What about Heidi? That video
Yeah.
with the voice.
One
Where'd that come from? Just out of thin air, out of nowhere?
one of these times I should need to send Andrew that picture of the Stanley Hotel
Oh yeah.
with down that corridor.
Yes.
That one
Yep.
that I've had people say, "Oh, it's pareidolia."
Yeah.
I've had other people say, "No, you actually caught something." And I think even you had said
Yeah.
that I actually caught something.
Oh, I know you did. Yeah. I would love to see it again because it's been what, a couple of years,
Yeah.
I think, since I've seen
yeah.
it. So
I
yeah.
mean,
Put it
yeah.
out there for the public to see and say, what do you see, if anything?
Yeah.
And leave it at that. Don't say what other people have said, and just leave it out there and see. I'd be curious to see.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what Andrew sees.
Maybe I'll put that on the Facebook page.
You should. And then let's show it on the show next week.
Yeah.
Why not? It's
Yeah, I get it on my laptop. I can send it.
Can we do that and not have to get permission from Stanley?
I should think we'd be all right.
You might need to email him or mention, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't want to infringe on copyright laws or anything. So,
Yeah.
but you took the picture, but still I would email them and ask
Yeah.
them, hey, look. Anyways, we can talk about it later. But
yeah, off camera.
yeah,
On that one.
yeah. Because I have the same issue with. That's why I never show pictures of Shanghai tunnels because everything I did down there is copyrighted. I signed something
Mhm.
saying so. That's why I don't show pictures publicly that I took of the Shanghai tunnels because of that reason, which is unfortunate because there's so much. Oh my gosh, so much evidence. I mean,
And seeing that
Ugh.
again, going back to the respect of
Yeah.
that when you were doing the tours down there,
yeah,
and even I've gone on other tours that you weren't,
Yeah.
gone down there and done. The way the story is told,
yeah,
and the history is well represented, well respected, and as far as I can tell, anyway, there's no, fakeness or any of that. It's not out to make it a bad situation. You're saying this is what actually happened,
yeah,
and unfortunately, bad things have happened, and these
Yeah.
are those things. Whether you want to hear about it or not, it's the history of this area or this building or the undergrounds or whatever. It's
yeah,
being respectful for the location, the spirits, and everyone involved.
yeah,
And going back to that story that was read a while back, I think about that from time to time. And I was thinking about it last night after.
the one that I read last night.
Yes.
Yeah,
But the situation there, people are still alive that are still traumatized by that.
yeah,
And if it was brought out in a way that paints a different picture,
mm,
I don't want to go into detail. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
It's going to bring up, some hatred or hurtful and feelings that these people shouldn't have to deal with now.
especially after so much time has
Has
passed. Yeah.
passed. Let it go.
Yeah,
Just tell it as, it's another thing, but it's one of those that's been on my mind for the last
Yeah.
few weeks since I've heard about it.
Well, you said it right off the bat. Right after you read it, you said something to me about it. And
It just
I just now read it, and so I was like, just smacked in the face.
Yeah, and now you understand how.
Oh yeah.
Because we briefly touched on it last show,
Yeah. Yeah.
and how we were saying it wasn't gonna feel right in this location
Yeah.
or whatever. It could bring up some bad juju.
Oh yeah.
I still feel that,
Yeah.
and
Well, and with the Shanghai tunnels, I will say this, we didn't talk about history that didn't happen
Mhm.
in the tunnels. We talked about history that happened that pertained to the tunnel.
to that location.
And some of it, a lot of it was horrific. And it's still
Exactly.
happening today,
Yeah.
So anyways, I'll just leave it
Yeah.
at that. And
Yeah.
so, because if I say anything else, it'll kind of
Yeah, I don't want to go too much into
Yeah.
it because we don't want to go.
no. And I have nothing bad to
And
say about those people that we're kind of
right.
talking about
I think
secretly.
yeah,
You
and be
know?
a little cryptic here,
Yeah.
but I think some more homework should be
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
into that aspect and
Yeah.
be a little more forthcoming or truthful about the situation, not share.
Well, I think you had the perfect question to me last night and it was one word: why? That has been haunting me ever since you said it. What an appropriate word, haunting. And I'm like, God, he's right. Why? Anyway, so
it's one of those. Yeah, we're being a little cryptic about it.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes with the territory a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the respect and due diligence.
Yeah.
Of the profession.
Yeah. Well, and we need. Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Yeah,
but we are going to enjoy the rest of this month, and we are.
I'm still not dressing up.
Yeah, you are.
I had to throw that out there,
I've got it. I still haven't gotten my costume yet, and here I've been putting pressure on you. And so
No
I
fear, my
will.
friend.
I got to go to the Halloween store, Spirit of Halloween, or something. I got to find something. I have an idea of what I want. So
I've been looking.
yeah. All right. Well, we got to do more than look. We got to get something. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well. Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Paranormal
Crossings
into the light. And so hopefully next week we'll have.
Yeah,
we do seriously still have Darrin somewhere. I know his seat is a little empty right now, but he will be here. There it is, the empty seat.
Yeah.
But we promise. We're my hat's keeping it warm for. Well, my hat's keeping it warm for you there, Darrin. But we look forward to having you back here, buddy. So you guys have a good week. Be safe as usual, and we'll see you next Saturday. Be good to each other. We'll see you soon.
Good day. Good afternoon. Good night.